Welcome back. Idagdag mo pa ang 4-time NBA MVP na si LeBron James sa mga hindi fans ng final 2-minute report ng NBA. Gaya ni Kevin Durant, sinabi ni LeBron na pinapahiya lang ng liga ang mga referee sa paglabas ng report kung saan nakalagay ang mga controversial non-calls tulad na lang sa mga nangyari sa recent Christmas Day game ng Cavaliers at Warriors.
Pero hindi nga ba ginawa ng NBA ang naturang report para ma-vindicate ang mga players at coaches na nagrereklamo sa mga maling tawag sa kanila? At mas nakakatulong nga ba ang last 2-minute report para sa imahe ng NBA? At para sa diskusyon na yan, kasama natin ang basketball blogger at NBA.com Philippines Managing Editor na si Adrian Dy. Hi, Adrian.
Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. Pero Anton, maraming anggulo na pwede tayong pag-usapan dito sa last 2-minute report ng NBA. AD, ano nga ba ang history nito para sa NBA?
Well, basically, ever since naging commissioner si Adam Silver, focus talaga niya yung transparency. So, nakita natin sa mga award voting, nandun yung kung sino nag-vote for which player. And yung last 2 minutes ay part din ng transparency movement niya na if there is a game that is within 5 points of the last 2 minutes, maglalabas ng NBA ng report of all the correct calls and incorrect calls or non-calls that were made in that game para lang makita ng mga fans or reporters na okay, ito yung parts na non-calls that the referees missed at ito yung calls na the referees did call correctly.
Now, there are 4 prominent names na hindi fans ng last 2-minute report. Kabilang dyan si LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Greg Popovich at Dwayne Wade. Wade said it was pointless. Popovich said they should scrap it. LeBron said that the plays in the last 2 minutes are important, just as important as the plays in the first 3 quarters. Sinabi naman ni KD, you're throwing the referees under the bus. He's telling that to the NBA. So para sa'yo, Adrian, ano ba yung mga advantages and disadvantages ng pagkakaroon ng isang last 2-minute report?
Now, I'm sure the players and the coaches na frustrate sila kung nakita nila, ay, mali pala yung tawag na to. Can we go back and replay the game? No, we can't. Pero I think it's important for the media and the fans actually. It's more important for them para makita na, you know, the NBA, they try to get things right. But of course, since the referees are human nga, they don't get everything right. So let's say na that game played out on December 26, walang last 2-minute report. I'm sure the Warriors fans sabihin nila, ang daya ng NBA, bias sa Cleveland, ganun. But because they have the report, makita ng fans na, okay, the NBA admitted na they blew these 2 calls. They're not perfect, but as the NBA said, they try to get 90% of the calls correct in all games. And if you look at the report, those were the 2 big problems that stood out. But the rest of the 2 minutes in that span, the calls were correct. So that fits within that 90% figure.
Well, Adrian, given these officials are human nga, sabi mo, di ba? And of course, they would want to improve every time. Pero sa mga missed calls na ito, nagkaroon na ba ng instance na may naparusahan or may na-fine ba na official for missing a non-call?
I don't think the NBA releases yung information na yan. Pero if you look at what the NBA does kapag playoffs, they only assign the quote-unquote best referee. So I'm sure the frequency of mga correct calls versus your incorrect calls plays into that. So when it comes to the playoffs, supposedly, based on what the NBA says, those are the top-notch officials who make the least mistakes. So when it comes to when there's really big stakes involved, like a finals or a championship, you can expect the refs are supposedly the cream of the crop.
Sinabi nga ni Migs na maraming angulo dito sa issue na ito. I want to look at the angle of the players. Kasi the players are very influential. Merong mga nagsasabi na pati yung mga referees nasisindak sa mga ginagawa ng mga players. There were 2 non-calls. Yung pagpatid ni Richard Jefferson kay KD and yung paglambitin ni LeBron. Now, last year, LeBron made a comment about this last 2-minute report. And he said na you're discrediting the referees' work in the first 46 minutes because you're looking at the mistakes in the last 2 minutes. So, tingin mo ba epekto na ng pagsalita ni LeBron na hindi siya tinawagan sa paglambitin in that Christmas Day game?
I think it's hard to say kasi when you look, the way the NBA works, syempre, they're shuffling the refereeing crews around. It's always a different groups. So, when you sort of say na parang LeBron is calling out the referee, so to speak, they are supporting them, which is what KD was also doing. I don't think necessarily it has an effect on the next game or the next game that they're going to call for that team. Kasi naman, when they're people trying to do a job also. So when you look at it from that angle, na human din sila, I'm sure that they're trying to do the best on all accounts, fair to the both teams sort of work that they're trying to do.
Well, alam mo, Adrian, syempre, ang napapansin kasi natin, yung mga, sabi mo, influence sa mga players, ito pa si Coach Greg Popovich, pero let's look at the other side, about the officials mismo. To begin with ba, sila ay pabor dito sa rule ni Coach Adam Silver or Commissioner Adam Silver, or meron bang mga nagreklamo mga officials din na ganito ang klase na kailangan nilang gawin after?
Well, the NBA officials Twitter account did retweet Durant's comments and sinasabi nila na they agree nga na the last 2-minute calls should be scrapped, pero I don't think that will necessarily happen anytime soon because nga Adam Silver is really into transparency. It's a really big focus for him. We've seen in the past na, you know, there was that case of that one referee who it turned out was sort of influencing games, and he was thrown out from the refereeing association because of that. So parang this is sort of in response to that actually, na parang okay, we might not get every call correct, but it's not because of anything sinister. It's just because these refs are human. So for Adam Silver, the refs may not be favoring it, pero sa tingin niya, I think he actually sees it as helping humanize these referees.
Based on your answer, Adrian, it seems that you're leaning towards sticking with that rule. What if ipagpatuloy ng NBA itong last 2-minute report na ito, and another player complains? They miss another call and a player speaks out. Do you think in the future may chance na baguhin rin ni Adam Silver itong last 2-minute report?
Well, it's interesting din kasi there's a reports na sa bagong CBA, the players now, it used to be that they could file a report once every year, but they can't mention the name of a referee kapag may complaint sila. But under the new CBA, they can now file a report every month if there's if they have any complaint about a referee or a call, and they can name the specific ref. Nasa new collective bargaining agreement yan. So actually, when you look at it, the NBA is also giving the players more power na if they find a call or if a referee does something wrong, to sort of address that problem. Hindi na in the past na medyo anonymous pa. Pero ngayon, they have specific tools in the CBA to sort of tackle that problem if it arises. So I think parang balancing din yun na parang okay, you don't like the last 2-minute report, pero if in case na something happens to you and you found na we missed it na nga, you now have the opportunity to tell us about it.
Well, speaking of these types of problems na nararanasan ngayon ng NBA, medyo maraming complaints, but let's look at more of the positives, Adrian. What is the kind of growth that you see? Kasi you're leaning towards to sticking with the rule. What is the kind of growth that you see if talagang mas naging push na to towards the future years of the NBA?
I think also for the fans, no, na parang when they look at this report, kasi in the past parang we just assume na the refs are always correct, diba? Parang yun yung isip natin, parang now when you look at it, if you look at the last 2 minutes breakdown, super specific siya. They actually say what went wrong, what was the correct rule.
Okay.
In this case, there are people complaining, and pati ata si Jeff Van Gundy during the game na sabi, oh, you can't sub in Steph Curry at that last possession. Pero if you look at the last 2 minutes report, it actually says there, substitution is allowed because of the shot clock violation. So if you're a fan and you read this, you get a deeper appreciation and understanding of the rules. So I think that helps also, na parang the fans are more educated as to what are the actual NBA rules.
Pero hindi ba ito parang nakakapanginayang, especially if you're a player, tapos like KD, he was part of that play, and then yun nga, sinabi ng referees na nagkamali sila, they should have called a foul. As a player, hindi ba parang sayang? If they called the game, they made the call correctly, we probably could have won the game. Tingin mo ba baka pwedeng i-revise yung rule somehow? And if they could revise it, what revisions would they make?
Siguro, what the NBA will also try to do in those sorts of situations, that as we've seen, mas maraming replay talaga ang nagagamit ngayon. And what the replay center does is, while the referees are officiating that game, there's one more referee assigned to the game to sort of help them out in certain specific situations. Posible naman na in the future that additional referees' powers may be enlarged, or they can get more influence over the game. Natatawag sila, uy, you missed this specific call, or uy, mali yung call mo. The other thing the NBA is actually doing is in the D-League, mag-experiment sila with 4-man referee crews and 5-man referee crews. And that's always a possibility na mag-translate yun sa NBA. So, obviously, the league takes officiating very seriously, and they're trying to come up with ways to sort of resolve it.
Well, do you think, Adrian, with this example by the NBA, do you think na magsasprout ba to globally? Syempre, hindi kasi syempre maganda naman yung pinapakita nilang example. Of course, with the Euro League, with other professional leagues in the world, do you think that this can be a very helpful tool para mas mag-grow pa ang laro ng basketball?
Siguro not the exact same because nga it uses a lot of the video replay center para ma-implement yung mga review. Pero I'm sure like if you're another league, another sports league, and you see the NBA talagang transparent about these calls na if we get something wrong, aaminin namin na we got something wrong. I'm sure that's a nice thing for the fans to see na the league is not trying to pull a fast one on us, and they're trying to be accountable. So that's something they can do even without the video replays.
Well, Adrian, marami talagang anggulo itong topic na ito, pero maraming salamat sa oras. Advanced Happy New Year, and
you too, guys.
Thank you also for being such a great boss to me and Migs. NBA.com.ph.
Make sure you check out their blogs, guys.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Hi guys, keep watching The Score for the latest sports updates, and don't forget to subscribe to the ABS-CBN Sports in Action YouTube channel.